listeners. Welcome to another episode of Romance Unraveled. This is one of your co-hosts, Jacob Bozen.
And this is your other co-host, Kevin Keene.
And today, Kevin has one of his guests. It's an anonymous person. She will be going by Elle today. So, Kevin, let's have you introduce her.
Yeah, this is my friend Al. We go way back. We met when we were kids, and then both moved to the same city, and it worked out really well. Al, do you want to give a quick introduction about yourself?
Sure thing. Thanks, Jacob, for having me on. Thanks, Kevin. Nice to be here. I have known, obviously, Kevin for some time, and I came to the area several years ago as well. So, Kevin and I are just local and around, and we've lived some life in the area. So hopefully, we'll have some fun stories for you today.
Yeah, let's dive right into it. We'll hand it right over to you. I'm excited to hear it.
Okay. Um, well, I guess this one is a story that would have occurred in the time that we knew each other, Kevin, in this location geographically. But so keep me honest on the details. But
So, this
Sounds
is
good.
not in DC, correct? This is somewhere else.
this is in DC, like the
Oh, it
DC
is.
metro area. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Um, so in the past decade in the DC metro area, um, I'm single, dating around for one reason or another, get on the dating apps and meet a person who I then would go on to date. This will be the person who this story is, primarily featuring. And Kevin, you're peripheral to all of this. We're all, we all know each other.
Yep.
Um,
I was there for the inception of this one, the first few dates, and
yeah, maybe a few shots of mezcal too many on
oh
one of those
yeah,
early nights.
there's that one party with the spicy jalapeno uh,
Yeah.
tequila that this person was there for. I
Uh-huh.
remember that one.
Yeah. Can't drink it to this day, but I digress. We we started dating, and this person and I, pretty vanilla, I would just say. One thing I didn't mention in my intro is that by now, is pretty. I don't know. I don't know, Kevin. Am I self-actualized?
Yeah, I think you're.
That's encouraging. Yeah.
I
You're
guess
just
we'll find out, right?
I guess we'll find out. Well, folks, we're getting the backstory how that happened, the mess that occurred before in the before times, before Elle was self-actualized. This is one of those stories, and I was dating this person, and we had a pretty vanilla, normal relationship, I would say, by human standards, if there is such a thing. Um, I Just a little background about me, for context. I am now a pretty proudly queer out. So, I've done some evolving in the past decade of my life. And relative to kind of my baseline now, this was pretty, I guess, pretty normal, pretty relatable. At that point, I am actually a non-binary identifying person, and woman, so I use she and they, them pronouns. Um, at that time, I was purely a she, her, cisgender, um, not heterosexual, a pansexual individual. So this person was a cisgender heterosexual male. So by all intents and purposes, I mean, by any outsider looking in, we looked like a cis het couple. Anyway, a couple of years pass, and we're, you know, living our best single but separate lives, dating, getting to know each other better, meeting each other's families. COVID is happening in the background, so we're trying to survive that debacle. Um, and probably poor word choice there, but as many did not. But by the end of that, I thought we were doing pretty fine. Um, I wanted to give him a nice surprise because our anniversary was coming up, and I couldn't remember I thought it'd be a nice idea because we met on a dating app to go to that dating app and look for, like, to open it up and go look for our old chats and find some nice words that I could use in a card.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
maybe
I really like that
screenshot them.
idea.
Right.
What dating app was it?
We were on, it was Tinder.
Okay.
Mm, yeah, it was Tinder. You can hear the dismay in my voice. Yeah, yeah. I wasn't. This isn't my first Tinder story, but yeah. So it was a couple of years. It was a pretty established relationship, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I forgot it was that long. But the pandemic kind of made time feel, different. But yeah, I think it was, yeah, a couple of years sounds right.
Yeah. And so pandemic time vacuum, we kind of made it through that and out the other end. Um, so I thought I'd be cute, and I reinstalled this dating app. Fortunately, I hadn't deleted my account or anything. I just had, turned it off. Like, honestly, at that point, I don't even know if I knew how. I was just like, okay, cool. Don't need that anymore. Um, I'll also call out here explicitly. We were explicitly monogamous. That was something we had identified. Yeah, it's not how I operate these days, but yeah, we were definitely a monogamous couple at that time. So, I reinstalled Tinder, and I remember feeling kind of weird about that and thinking, ooh, all right, I'm going to make this go as quickly as I can. And I opened it up, and, it pulls up like the first page of Tinder and with all of the people you swipe through, right? And I'm like trying to find it was honestly the first page, Kevin and Jacob. I kid you not, like the first person that I saw on this app. I thought I was already looking at the chat that he and I had left on because I saw his face in a picture.
Oh, so you
Yeah,
could not had this discussion with him. It was an idea that you had that you thought would be sweet.
yeah,
And then you ended up finding him on there.
yeah,
Refinding, I guess.
yeah. But yeah. Yeah, so opened it up, and yeah, actually recognized a few of the photos from times that we'd been on trips together, but he was
Oh.
yeah. Like, ouch, right? Um and
So he had photos from trips that you had
yeah.
done together, but I assume you were not in the photos. You're just
No,
cut out, or they were just photos of
no.
him.
No, but he had them with some of his friends on those trips.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I just kind of started swiping through his pictures. Like, wait, what? Do these
These are
auto
new.
update? Like, was this intentional? And yeah, uh, yeah, no, there is no ghost feature in Tinder that auto updates your photos as you are
Hmm.
in active relationships, and just in case, right?
Not yet,
So
but AI is developing quickly, so
yeah,
or it just
uh,
predicts your breakup and gets your
yeah,
photos and dating ready for when you get back online already.
yeah. Look, I'm not going to profess that our relationship was the healthiest at that point. We were definitely on the rocks. We've been having, that again. It was healthy conflict. We weren't as healthy as it could be, right? It wasn't scary, it wasn't dangerous, but we were figuring out how to communicate, and we were going through it. So
What
it
did his
wasn't.
bio say?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Honestly, I think I don't remember. I just remember the pictures at that point, and then I do remember. No, yeah. So we'll get to the details that I think I know why you're asking this question. We'll get to the detail that kind of it gets there are more layers to this than just this. My monogamous partner was on a dating app without my knowledge, looking for people. There's another layer to this. So I'm gonna put a pin in that and come back to what you asked me, Jacob, because I don't remember what it said on the profile, but there definitely was something specific this person was looking for outside of our relationship that I wasn't providing them. So,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
coming back to that. Um, yeah. Well, so of course, first, I don't really know what to believe. Then I'm kind of devastated. I know what's happening. I think I called you right away, Kevin, if you remembered. But Yeah, it was a little bit shocking, but especially given, you know, I think probably the most shocking piece. Um, I think he was actually I'm trying to find ways to make sure I'm not giving away any personal information here. Um, we were not in the same place when I found this out. Um, he was away. He was in another part of town. So I called him up and I did my best instead of like blowing a gasket and kind of going off the rails. I just called him up and said, "Hey, so I was doing this thing for our anniversary. I saw this profile that was updated. What was going on there?" And I asked him that question, and we had a video call because it was COVID times still. Um, yeah, and I just saw him completely crumble. So for what it's worth, the guy did not try to lie to me. He let it all out, which I thought was really good and like well done you. Like at the very least, you're you're handling this maturely and you're not going to try to obfuscate what you're going through. Yeah, because you've been found out. So the jig was up. And then he basically just kind of crumbled and told me, so I have this thing where I really need people to like I need someone to step on me. I really want someone to step on me when
I
we're having
cannot.
yeah. And
Okay, so he legitimately said that to you just like that. He needs someone to step on him.
well, so let me a little backstory here. Again, like when we'd been intimate in the past, that was something we had discussed, and it had come up like a couple of times. Like,
Like
oh,
to pop his back or what? Like I don't get it.
well, actually, not actually stepping on him, but like, um, so the actual kink, and I've done the fetish that I've done a lot of research on since is called trampling. It's being people will step on people who have this fetish to enjoy it. And again, I'm not purporting to be an expert. This is what research I have done in the time since because it was interesting to me and I wanted to learn more. And since it's been many years since this happened, it has stopped being a painful subject for me and it's more become, oh, I'm interested in human sexuality and I want to understand why. But yeah, people stepping on, like someone deriving sexual pleasure from being stepped on. And he told me early on in our relationship that he had a foot fetish, which is fantastic. Like I've dealt with that before. That's fine by me. Cool. That should give you an idea of how chill I am. I think baseline with just kink and just I that's not something that would really freak me out. Um but yeah, the idea is you're getting off on someone else actually like either squishing the life out of you, like maybe there's like a breath play element where someone is actually like putting their feet on your face and on your mouth so you can't breathe, or on your chest, right? So you're
What
like,
in the world?
yeah,
Oh my gosh. This reminds me of our second episode of where my friend Abby, the guy had a giantess thing and would write stories about her.
yeah,
It reminds me of this.
wow, okay, yeah, that's, I mean, human sexuality, right? Like people are into what they're into. But for this person, it was getting trampled on. So the real kicker was, excuse the pun. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that was a really good pun. um, I like we done some foot stuff before, but he kind of didn't push it. And it was honestly like that's a really respectful approach. Typically, like in the time since that I've learned more about kink and fetishes, a lot of people with them keep them really close to their chest because they're not societally super acceptable, right? It's something that is a legit risk to share with a partner, someone you care about, because you don't know how it's going to go over. Um,
Right.
yeah, so I get where he's coming from on some of this, except that we'd already had the conversation. I already knew about the the element of it, which we would play with, and that was fine. The part that I'm not a very large human, like relative. I think I would say I'm on average smaller in stature, general mass, than someone of like my age, size, sex representation, etc. Right. So I'm not huge. So this person
Wait,
was,
so
yeah,
Elle, was he like getting this from other people at the time, or was he just like asking about it, or
he, well, yeah, we're getting there. Um, yeah, he was like connecting with people online, requesting that they come do this to him. Apparently, it had been recent enough that he had gotten back online that, and actually, like, again, he's sitting there with me, devastated on a phone call, like just letting it all out. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, wait, let me get all the facts. Um, to my knowledge, he'd not actually met up with other people by the time we met, but he had plans to. Um,
For them to come step on him.
yeah, yeah, to trample him.
Okay.
So, yeah, specifically, what he told me he wanted was someone with a lot more. I mean, when I asked the question, okay, why that's that hurts a lot. Why didn't you just ask me to do it?
Oh,
Why didn't you
okay.
just ask me? Um, which at the time maybe I wouldn't have taken as well to. Maybe that's what he anticipated. Um, I think his response was, well, it's actually looking for really large people to come do this. So
oh,
there's like a breath element that definitely was involved for his fetish.
I am
Um,
like shocked. Like
yeah,
I didn't even know this was a thing.
that's and you know what? Like this is actually I didn't either. It blew my mind at the time. Honestly, I think I don't know, Kevin, like the way I handled that, I did the best that I could with what I knew and had at the time at my disposal in the way of understanding and sympathy, but like or empathy, but immediately my response, I mean, I think I broke up with him on the spot. It was pretty much you've been connecting with people and you've actually made like active dates to go do this with people. Okay, not interested. We're done. Like I think we might have had one follow-up talk after that. And again, like heartbreaking situation. Like the guy could have just told me if it wasn't for paralyzing guilt and internalized shame, right? But still made the shitty judgment call to do it behind my back. Um,
hmm.
and again, like wherever I was in my own development at the time, like makes me feel bad. Like if my behavior contributed to him feeling bad enough that he had to go behind my back for anything, like, damn, I wish I knew. Um, and for what it's worth, I don't hold any ill will toward him now because he seems like he was going through a lot. Because, I mean, you said it, Jacob. Had you heard about that fetish? No, at that time I hadn't, right? Like, it would have been a risk telling me. So I do hope that wherever he is now, he's enjoying his flattest
Stampedes.
life, his stampedes. Yeah, I'm really hoping he's got that and it's there. And however he's worked it out, he has a model with whoever he's found that they can talk like a framework. They can talk about this stuff. Because yeah, the worst outcome there, in my opinion, would be someone getting shamed further back into their shell.
So at that point, like, you know, maybe he didn't feel comfortable enough sharing with you, but I think it's interesting that, he's, you're already doing some foot stuff and he never even sort of thought about asking. I guess like he has like a weight requirement, but like I feel like someone who's small is better than nothing at all if that's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, just
When when you found this out, I imagine from your perspective, you were thinking, maybe I really don't know this person because that was hidden from you for such a long time. And
oh
that's
yeah,
how I would have approached it. I would have been like, I don't really know who they are. If, like
yep.
maybe I didn't have that experience, but that would have been mine, I think.
Oh yes, I will totally jump on that bandwagon of relatability. Like it was just and this actually kind of hit at some earlier. You can tell I've been in a bunch of therapy when I start talking about attachment wounds, but um, at the time, it kind of hit on some of that deep set attachment stuff that I'd felt. I had a parent who was a serial cheater, and it really ripped apart our family in some pretty at some I mean that it'll rip
A
apart a
serial
family every time.
what?
Cheater, like non-monogamy,
Oh,
unethically
Peter. Okay.
non-monogamous, yeah,
Yeah.
like stepping out on my mom, that sort of thing. And they stayed together, and it was really messed up. Anyway, long story short is it really hit me right there. And I felt a lot of that old pain come up when, this person who I, loved and trusted did that to me. And, again, it reactivated some of that old pain. But obviously, yeah, I didn't feel like I knew who this person was. It made me hurt that they didn't trust me, after claiming to have trusted me. And it also made me hurt that they weren't happy and that they just couldn't tell me that. It was certainly a ride, and yeah, Jacob, it definitely made me question my reality. So that was I definitely reeled from it. I listened to some Avril Lavigne in the months following,
You
and
know, she's always a saving grace. I love her.
she really is.
Um, so I'm assuming you've never talked to this man ever again.
You know what? It's funny because I actually did. I reached out. Goodness, I had probably a year and a half after it all ended. I think I will say this: there was no screaming, there was no throwing of objects. We had an adult conversation, and I cried a little bit. He cried a lot, and that's kind of how it ended. And then I think we exchanged one or two of those like messages, after that are kind of angsty of like, I'm so sorry and yada yada. And then we talked. I gave him a call about a year and a half later because I had this I mean a lot was going on, Kevin, at that time in my life. This was prior to some other big stuff that happened, but like in that low, I had this kind of flash of, I'm not going to say it just kind of hit, well, I guess I am, it did just kind of hit me. It was like this flash of forgiveness. I just felt all of a sudden pretty at peace with this person that I, for a while, I just kind of had seen, like I'd held it in me for like a year and a half, that I saw them as this, oh yeah, like, wow, you think you know a guy, right? This low down cheating son of a gun, like did me dirty. And then it just kind of hit me one morning when I woke up that this person, I mean, they were doing what they could with the information and the situation they had. And yeah, it was not good behavior, but I really didn't want them walking through life feeling like I thinking I hated them and that I couldn't forgive them for what they'd done, especially for something that's so basic as just like a sexual, a fetish, right? He can't help that about himself. I get how painful it must have been for him to have to hold that inside all the time. And it just, I recall very specifically the morning I woke up that year and a half later thinking, wow, I can't have it on my conscience to let this guy go through life thinking that I hate him, or that
Mm.
grossed me out or turned me off. So I actually called him. I still had his number. I didn't need to block it. It wasn't like that level of traumatizing for me. So I called him, and he picked right up. And he was just sort of this awkward. I could tell he was, probably like freaking out, thinking, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna ream me a new out, like a new one." And then I just kind of had a little chat and told him, hey, I don't know if you care about this. I just wanted to make sure you knew that that's not something I'm holding anger about. And I think you are a good person as you are. And I really hope it works out for you. And in fact, I think since I've probably run into this person a few times at grocery stores, actually, Kevin.
Oh
I
yeah, I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah, I did. And like we waved. It was really weird.
Mm.
Not like weird as in, okay, what are the chances? But also like, okay, cool. I think we're actually on good terms. So this story ends kind of, I hope, ends kind of positively. Um, I genuinely don't really hold any grudge or a, angst about it. It's just something that happened, and I really do hope that he's doing well.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's a good perspective to have about it for sure. You've moved on.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, it was great having you on. Yeah, thanks for coming and telling your story. For our listeners, as always, make sure you subscribe and save. We are streaming anywhere you get your podcasts, and you can follow us on social media at Romance Unraveled on Facebook and Instagram. And one more thing, it would be super helpful if you would rate us, whatever you feel like you should be rating us on either Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or many of the others. That would be super helpful. Until next time.